Welcome back to the Metropolitan Culture Corner. This month we go behind the scenes with Bea Castelló. She is a third-generation antiques dealer specializing in textiles, vintage cloth, handmade laces, velvets, linens, everything from fancy clothes to authentic period pieces for the home like tablecloths, bed coverings, dating all the way back to the 1800s. She sells and rents her beautifully preserved pieces to both film and theater production companies as well as to private customers. Some of these productions have included award-winning films. I'll let her tell you all about them. And between the years of 2021 through 2024, her pieces appeared in 17 different productions. Bea's family has a long history in the vintage textile business as well as a strong connection to Barcelona. Many pieces in museums such as the Rocamora collection in the Barcelona Design Museum, for example, came mostly from Bea's family's warehouse back when it was run by her grandfather. Another famous name is Frederic Marès, a famous sculptor who's got a museum down by the cathedral. He was also a regular client of her family's warehouse. She and her family are vintage clothes royalty in this city, what can I say? Her stories are as varied as the hundreds and hundreds of unique pieces in her warehouse, so I will let her tell you about them. And I also wanted to mention that Bea is battling some connection issues today, so we're going to do the best that we can with the image and with the audio because I definitely want to interview this woman. She's super interesting and she represents a corner of the Metropolitan Culture Corner that we've never really explored before. This concept of vintage textiles, vintage clothes, vintage culture is something that's a huge part of the city and I'm just fascinated to learn more about it. So without further ado, please welcome Bea Castelló of Las Pepitas Vintage to the Metropolitan Culture Corner. Welcome. Very happy to have you here on the Metropolitan Culture Corner because I know nothing about the world of vintage textiles. So I'm very interested to talk to you. So your grandfather was an antique dealer selling furniture, pottery, but somehow he started specializing in 17th and 18th century textiles, right? So do you know how he started selling antiques?
He was born in Caravaca de la Cruz in Murcia, and he was come here to work when he was 14, and he began to restaurate antique furniture for antique dealers. And these dealers show him this business. And after, when my mother and my uncles were young, he went to buy antique furniture and he opened a shop.
And then this just became the family business.
My uncle sells furniture and antique pottery. And my mother, the textile.
There were really important collectors who bought a lot of pieces from your grandfather, like Manuel Rocamora or Frederic Marès. Do you know how these people discovered your grandfather's work? Do you know how he got in touch with them?
Yes, because he lived around the corner. My grandfather has the shop near the cathedral, and all these people lives. And in this time, all the collectors visit the antique dealers in Barcelona. They were friends, and I met Mr. Marès when I was young, and also Mr. Rocamora.
Those are important figures in the culture world today, but back then they were just your grandfather's friends.
Yeah. Right. They were all when I met them, maybe 19 years. I was young, 8 years old.
So to you, they were just people who your grandfather
They
knew.
used to visit my uncle to the shop and spend all the time there talking about textile. A lot of afternoons they spend there talking about textiles.
You said your uncle and your mother also worked in your father's business. Did you always know you wanted to follow them into the family business? What is it that you love about antique textiles?
When I was young, I want to be an antique dealer. Yes, all my life. I was born into textile.
And so that's always been your passion forever?
Yeah, always.
When you were 18 or 19, I think you went to apprentice with your mother's business partner's friend. Is that right? Madame Danielle living
No, it was not Madame Danielle. It was the partner of my mother in the business. During the Civil War here, she was to Paris. And she met there this woman, Madame Danielle, who was an antique expert of laces and dolls and little cars. You know, the little collector cars, also textiles. And I passed 2 years there.
What kinds of things did you learn from her?
I learned the laces, the names and the century, dolls also. It was with her because every day was different. Every day we went to do a different textiles, maybe vintage clothes. There was a lot of things. Every day I learn a lot, and I learn French also because I studied French, but I didn't speak anything. But then in 2 days I speak a lot because they didn't speak Spanish and I have to work there.
So you spoke no French, you go to France.
And the first day when I arrived there, they open a door and tell me, oh, here there's the clothes and the only that you must to do is the people ask the valuation, how much is it for the auction? And I didn't know the numbers in French. And when they say the numbers, I have the catalog and say, this one is this one, okay, is this one, is the first day was very, very difficult for me. 50 people asked things in French and I didn't speak anything, but in a couple of days I began to speak and after was easy. And now I think in French and I speak French. My English is a little bit rusty, but I study English at school.
But the most important thing is just to understand each other.
Yes.
So besides French, what other things do you have to know if you work in vintage textiles? If you play music, you have to understand the notes. If you build buildings, you have to understand the materials. So what do you have to know in your business?
You have to know not the quality, but to know if this is cotton, if it's linen, the difference. But these things, you know, when you touch a lot of textile. It's not a question of a book. You can study a lot from textiles. You can know if it's from 18th, 19th century, 20, but if you don't touch the textile, you don't know if it's cotton, if it's linen. The difference with the lace is mechanical or is handmade. You don't learn this in a book.
So that's experience.
Yes, and this is experience here is very, very important.
So studying all these things in France. Why did you come back?
When I come back, I go to my mother's shop and I began to rent for films, vintage clothes, and also a trade, so small things and boxes, little sculptures, things that is not textile or films. My mother sell to the customers and I rent for film and theater.
So was your idea when you came back to Barcelona to try to rent to cinema and theater? That was your idea, or they just came to find you?
They came to the shop for rent and we didn't have a name, the shop, and when they returned the boxes, they called us Las Pepitas because my mother's name was Pepita. And I was Las Pepitas. And we adopted the name because it was a very nice name.
So your reputation, you and your mother, just grew from word of mouth, from people coming to see you and liking what they saw. But how did you end up with clients in Germany, in England, in the United States? In 2021 through 2024, you helped with 17 productions. That's not a small amount of work.
Yes, because with Instagram is a big space to know people, no? Because 40 years maybe that I work in this, but now with Instagram, you arrive to around the world. And this is nice because all the customers came from from Germany, from Italy, or from London. Because if not, before was, okay, people from here knows me, but not all the people, not the people outside Spain. It was very difficult.
So do you think that technology has changed your business a lot?
Yes, I think so. I think that technology is very important because definitely if not, it's not a business that you can not talk to the customers, no, to the English customers or Germany. But now with Instagram, also with the interviews.
So promotion is important.
I think also that in the rest of the world or in Europe is more appreciated vintage clothes than here. Now here, there's a boom with the vintage, but not 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But in London, people dress vintage during centuries.
Yeah, I know that this is a question, I guess in Spanish you call it abogado del diablo, no? Like a devil's advocate question. But why does it matter to have real, authentic vintage clothes instead of like a copy? What's the difference for a film or for a theater production? Why do you think that's important to have the real thing?
The big difference is how it's made. First, the quality of textile, handmade, and the hours, maybe 20 years ago, or maybe 30, a dress were well done because maybe it was 50 hours to make it. Now this is impossible. It's fast, and this is the big difference. Before, the dresses were well done. The material, and after, how did they make it? Now the production is 50 dress in 1 hour. When I see a dress from now and a dress from the 20s or the 30s or 40s. The quality for the fabric is very, very important. I think it's the most important.
With some of the film and theater productions that you've done, are there any that are your favorite productions that you've worked on or something really special?
All are important for me because all are made with love and with all my passion. But there is Alcarràs, who had the Berlinale, he won. Mm-hmm. It won in the Berlinale. And also Panegra also. But the first one that I made was Tic Tac of Rosa Vergés in 1997, the first film. This is important also for me. And in theater, El Día de la Marmota and Germans de Sang was in December, I think. Aranya also. Frontera. Another film is Frontera. Very nice film also. A lot of films during these 40 years.
Do you customize the pieces by hand for these productions?
No. They rent like there are. No.
So they don't change them. They just take them as they are and that's it.
Normally they don't change. Normally no.
Because it seems like kind of a risk to lend out these pieces of history to people. Is there any insurance or a way to make sure they take care of them?
This is difficult. This is a good question. Normally they take care, but sometimes there are things that maybe they lose a thing or they broke a curtain, but this is, in Spain we say gajes del oficio.
It's like the dangerous
It's inherent to the word pasan cosas, no?
You feel like most of the time your customers respect the importance of
Yes, because they know that there are antique things and antique clothes and they take care.
How many pieces do you have in your warehouse?
Maybe thousands.
Wow.
It's like Alibaba's cave. Yeah.
So within these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces, is there any one piece that's like the most special?
It's very difficult, because I love all the pieces that I have. I would like to have at home, but I don't have space. But I have a Paco's Rabanne bag, 69 blacks round like this, and metal. It's an iconic bag of Paco Rabanne, and this is like a must.
Your warehouse is almost like a little museum of snapshots of history.
Yes, a little bit.
If people wanted to come and visit you, even if they're not a film production, just normal people, they can come and see what you have.
Yes, you can visit me and I show you all that I have and explain. If you only want to see, maybe if you don't buy anything.
So you like to explain the history of the pieces to everybody?
Yes, I like because it's my passion, it's my life, and I like explain about textiles and about dresses and about laces, vintage clothes, and I could spend all the day speaking about it.
But I love that you love your work. That's really cool. So I just have one more question. On the Les Pepitas website, you talk about the value of vintage pieces, handmade pieces, but you also talk about zero waste and the idea of fashion being gender-free. Everyone can enjoy these pieces. So why are those things important besides the historical part of these textiles and these pieces you have?
If you buy a vintage dress, also is zero waste because all this is used, but you can use also. And after another people could use it. Like a friend of mine says, things are with you, not you with the things. When you will not hear, things will be here. They pass to us. And I think this is nice to pass to another and to take care, no? Like the Japanese. The Japanese take care of the textile and pass to their mothers, to sons, and more generations you pass, more important is this textile for them. And this is zero waste.
And also, why is the idea of the gender-free important to you?
Yes, there are no clothes to women, to men. I think it's for all. We are people, we are humans, and you can dress like you want. I think it's nice. It's important, not that anybody could use it.
To be yourself.
Yeah. If you want to come to see me, write me or phone me, and I show you all, and I explain you all that I know.
I will come someday.
Sure. When you want, Tori.
Thank you so much.
Thank you also.
Thank you so much, Bea, for spending time with us here on the Metropolitan Culture Corner. Next time I will have to come to the warehouse to check out all of your amazing pieces. And remember, if you live in Barcelona or if you're visiting, you can visit Las Pepitas in person in Sarrià Sant Gervasi here in Barcelona. If you have a film production company, a theater production company, you should definitely go check out what she has available. Because if you listen to the vintage experts of this city, they will tell you that Bea has pieces that are incredibly rare, very difficult to find. And so it is very unlikely you will find them anywhere else. And also remember that supporting local businesses is awesome, just saying. Tune in next month to the Metropolitan Culture Corner, and thank you as always for supporting local art and culture.